Hello and welcome to my easy to understand guide to the Arlo Parks music video, Hope. In this video I'm going to be covering media, language, representation and audience, and this is going to be relevant particularly for OCR GCSE media studies students as it appears as a set text on that specification from 2025 onwards. At the beginning of the video there's the diegetic sound of the beach and the waves crashing, and that creates this sense of atmosphere. Adds to the setting and it adds to this sense of a narrative. And the beach scene feels very escapist. Lots of people love being at the beach. It makes it feel very calm. The wide angle shot of the woman alone on the beach adds to this sense of her being isolated and alone. And clutching her hands together adds this sense of anxiety to her representation. Is she sad? Is she upset? We're clearly supposed to feel some sympathy for her. And this is where the music kicks in, and it feels quite upbeat and positive, so it starts to change our feelings as an audience about what's going on. And these narrative beginnings at the starts of music videos before the music kicks in is becoming increasingly common. So we start getting a variety of shots here of corridors. It makes them feel very alone. It makes them feel trapped in the frame, isolated. But then we get the contrast of the group shot of friends smiling, and that group shot adds this sense of community and togetherness. They're clearly having fun, they're playing games, they're together. There's a great use of colour in comparison to the corridor shots, which makes it feel very positive in comparison. And there's a diverse sense of gender and ethnicity representation here. And that is going to appeal to a modern audience where, people who are from ethnic minority backgrounds, people who are from different genders or different sexualities, they're often underrepresented or misrepresented in the media. And so having this more kind of diverse crowd might feel quite appealing to audiences. And we get this reverse shot here of the woman watching them. Are we supposed to think she's sad? She doesn't seem to fit in, she's not with these people. And so it makes her feel quite isolated and separate from them in the frame. We get these close-ups of her hands and the sleeves on her top. And that's something that we often associate with somebody feeling kind of like mentally anxious, stressed. And we get this shot of a kind of dorm style room, lots of beds. Others seem quite busy and happy and relaxed. But the camera tracks in on her unpacking. And this could be any number of places at this point. Audiences might think this is a university or college or boarding school. And perhaps it then targets quite a youthful audience who are more used to perhaps sleeping or living in these communal situations. But this sense of her feeling worried about not fitting in is going to particularly target those audiences who have those feelings themselves, who can relate. And young audiences in particular can often relate to these feelings that they don't belong and they haven't yet quite found their people. We see some shots here of her framed behind a very sheer curtain, and the curtains again make her feel trapped and separated from us as an audience. Perhaps suggests she doesn't feel seen by people. The locations feel very real, down to earth, normal, adds to the sense of realism. It doesn't feel glamorous. It doesn't feel utopian. There's a dusty windowsill. This adds to the sense of relatability for an audience, and it makes her feel quite normal. At one point she's holding onto a feather. Feathers are often, we see them floating around in the air. And so perhaps this is the idea that she's dreaming of being free. We see another communal room here, very much like a canteen. It's very busy, and the lyrics saying, "You're not alone like you think you are." So the lyrics are helping anchor the meaning for the audience. She feels alone, but the message is that she's not. But we're seeing her sat on her own in the background of the shot, and the others are in the foreground, sat at the table all together. So the visuals are telling us that she's still feeling very lonely and left out at the moment. We see her with her face in her hands, looking in a mirror, maybe a moment of self-reflection, and we get long takes here, so it feels quite slow-paced, and that adds to the sense of feeling quite sad and lonely. And we go back to the loose-framed canteen shot here, and this time, everyone's gone, but there's just somebody clearing up. It's a man, maybe challenging stereotypes of gender, he's doing the domestic tasks. But it does make it feel very lonely and isolated that it's now very quiet and everyone has left. And this is where we start to get very long dissolves of different takes. She's in the middle on her own, but other people come and go from this shot. They're kind of superimposed in these long dissolves on top. And it adds to this sense that a lot of time has gone by and she's been sat there on her own the whole time. It makes it feel like she doesn't feel noticed and she's not connected to the world around her. But this is when the narrative starts to change. A black woman approaches her and smiles, and her body language makes her seem quite friendly. This might challenge more negative stereotypes that we often see of ethnic minorities in the media. And again, like adding some sense of ethnic diversity in here might help to engage a more diverse audience. We then see a montage of their friendship developing over time. So we see the white woman starting to warm up slowly but surely, and the shots become more tightly framed, suggesting they're getting closer emotionally. The colour and tone of the shot starts to warm up as well, and the warmer colour palette suggests a more positive tone. There's a real lack of men in all these shots. It's very female focused. So clearly men are being marginalised here. That may alienate a male audience, but it certainly suggests to me that the target audience for this is a female target audience. And it gives an air of female empowerment. Now we see the sheer curtain again here, but this time it's both of them behind the curtain. They're in front of it and behind it. So perhaps this idea that this woman has changed things for the original woman. The black woman has made it so that the white woman feels more connected, that she has got someone with her. And we see them screaming, but it feels like a good scream. It feels like they're venting. It's quite cathartic. This idea that you need to have some emotional release for your own mental health. Sunsets we often associate with a feeling of happiness. And we get some more abstract imagery here, which is often quite common in music videos. We have this green sheer cloth on the beach, which audiences could interpret any number of ways. There's still some shots of sadness here. This isn't a sudden turnaround to perfect happiness. We see her on the floor of a corridor crying and she's being hugged. It suggests that, mental health issues, loneliness, depression, anxiety, they can't be solved overnight. It's not suddenly going to just get better instantly. It's a work in progress. It takes time, and there's always going to be good days and bad days. We get some diegetic sounds here of them, togetherness, humming together, and some silence as well. It's quite unusual to have these periods of silence in the middle of a music video, but it adds to the sense that this is kind of a narrative, this is a story. And the silence adds to a sense of calmness as well. It's peace, and that they can be silent together and that that's okay. And then the music comes back in and we get the bonfire celebration, and the fire is often symbolic of emotions, whether that's anger or passion, but certainly we feel as though she's got more passion than she had before. We see them standing around drinking. This adds to the stereotype maybe of young people kind of in wild rebellion, risky behaviour, but they certainly seem to be happy. Now, women aren't sexualised or objectified in this music video. They're not prancing around in revealing clothing and the camera isn't lingering on their butts. And that again suggests that this is targeting a more female audience who want a more realistic, relatable representation. It's also fairly working class in terms of representation, rundown areas, dusty windows, bonfires on estates, underpasses. It feels very working class, and again that's going to be quite relatable for a working class audience. It's not suggesting that life is all glamorous and utopian. And it ends with some diegetic laughing, them sitting on the bench that she was sitting on at the beginning. So the narrative has kind of come full circle. She's gone back to where she was at the start, but this time she's happier. And we get credits at the end, much like an actual film. The black woman in the video is Arlo Parks. So she plays the kind of hero character who comes in quite confident and changes this woman's life. So it makes sense that she's representing herself in this positive way because she's obviously the star. It's not entirely clear from the music video if the relationship between the two characters is platonic and they're just friends, or whether it's romantic in nature. But it certainly seems to be
an increasingly intimate relationship as they get closer and closer. In her real life, Arlo Parks has said that she herself is bisexual, and unlike a lot of other mainstream music videos that focus on heteronormative relationships, perhaps that's why this music video is focusing on a relationship between two women, whether that be platonic or romantic. And that might mean that this music video has quite a big appeal to the LGBTQ plus community as well.
But what we're not getting in this music video, which is fairly conventional in other music videos, is a performance element. We're not getting Arlo Parks singing to camera, lip syncing the words, where there's no dance routine or anything like that. It is a narrative-based video with Arlo Parks in the narrative as one of the characters. So yeah, no performance element. So that was my easy to understand guide to Hope by Arlo Parks. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you would like other videos relevant to you. And if you would like a video that I don't already have, leave a little comment below and I'll add it to my to-do list.